So crime rates are up all over the country. We all see it on the daily news every single day. In large cities, robbery, burglary, shootings, stabbings. The numbers are going up and up and up. And the politicians always promise that they're going to fix the problem. Well, quite frankly, they never really do. So let's talk about Chicago for a moment. The former mayor, Lori Lightfoot, was in my opinion, a do-nothing politician who was weak on crime, but she was hard on her police officers. She wouldn't let them fight most crimes because the criminal had more rights than the average citizen. But the new mayor, a progressive named Brandon Johnson, is going to bring a new approach to public safety, and he's hoping that will turn the city around and give it back to its residents.
Robin Judy, the new mayor, calling the plan a holistic approach that relies not just on police and city government, but also hundreds of community groups that have received new funding.
On Saturday at noon, music and marching. The annual Prayer on the Nine will overtake 79th Street from Greenwood to State.
We're literally coming together, marching with our children, for our children, and letting them know that they do have a future.
This call for peace, one of many, on a Memorial Day weekend marking the start of an anxious summer.
However you decide to spend your holiday weekend in Chicago, your safety is my top priority.
Mayor Brandon Johnson announcing a doubling of money from business and philanthropic leaders for summer youth programs, a $3.5 million investment in more than 250 community groups.
To give young people alternatives, to give them constructive, supervised activities, we need this.
We would not tolerate any engaging of criminal activity or disorderly conduct.
So it was nice to see that they really wanted the Memorial Day weekend to kick off peacefully, have parades so people can have cookouts, go to parties, kids can go out and play, they can gather, they can have fun. But is the approach of Brandon Johnson really the answer?
Over the holiday weekend, by our count, at least 50 people were shot, 10 killed. A man was critically wounded in the back of the Yards neighborhood. In this South Chicago home, another man was shot in the face. Overnight Monday, 3 people ages 57 to 77 were wounded while standing on a sidewalk in Calumet Heights. And in Lakeview, 4 people were shot in 2 separate shootings. One of the victims was 35-year-old William Hare, shot and killed while walking with a friend. Mayor Brandon Johnson spent the weekend at various neighborhood gatherings aimed at keeping streets safe. Last week, he touted a holistic approach to public safety this summer with new funding to support community groups, but says we have a tremendous amount of work to do.
Poverty didn't go away over the weekend. Like, we understand that when communities have been disinvested in and traumatized, that you're seeing the manifestation of that trauma.
Will it really give the city back to their residents? I say no, and I'm going to tell you why. If you haven't already heard, over the long Memorial Day weekend, Chicago had at least 53 shootings, 11 fatally. The shooting victims ranged in age from 2 to 77 years old, and they happened every day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and into early Monday morning over the Memorial Day weekend. So Brandon Johnson's new public safety effort failed on its first weekend. You heard the interim police superintendent say they will not tolerate engaging in crime or disorderly conduct. Apparently, no one heard that message because 53 shootings, 11 fatalities, and the ages that I mentioned, 2 to 77, there were a lot of people engaging in criminal activity and disorderly conduct. The victims included 2 toddlers who were each accidentally shot and wounded in separate incidents, 2 teenagers, a 14-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl. And that's just a few of the many victims of the violence in Chicago on Memorial Day weekend. A person was also fatally stabbed, according to the police. This holistic approach, as Brandon Johnson calls it, is a program that it's an initiative that supports violence intervention programs and youth outreach, and it's being funded by the city to more than 250 grassroots organizations across 24 communities on the west and south sides of Chicago. I'm not sure what these politicians are thinking when they want to invest millions of dollars in community organizations and violence prevention organizations. In my view, it doesn't work. I've seen it in my own state. The major city in Rhode Island has done this for years, and it does not work. Crime is up, murders are up, shootings, stabbings, you name it. So how about investing a lot more of that money into more police to put on the streets, whether it's on foot, on bicycle, in cars. Put them on the streets. The more visible police presence, the less crime will take place, because the criminals may think twice before they commit whatever crime they're thinking of doing. But this progressive Brandon Johnson is not going to do that. He's thinking that his summer camps for kids, activities for young teenagers, and putting them all together in a safe, happy place during the day when school is out is going to be the solution and the answer to the violence in Chicago. And quite frankly, that does not stop the criminals from doing what they do. The criminals, don't want to go to the basketball courts and play with the other ones. They're going because there's a lot of people there, and most of these shootings are happening in areas like a basketball court, a park, a busy mall, a street. The criminals don't care. And in the city of Chicago, we've all seen when Lori Lightfoot was the mayor, the crime was out of control. And she was so weak on crime, she did nothing but stop her police from engaging in their police work. They couldn't stop certain cars for whatever reason. They couldn't engage in a foot pursuit with a suspected criminal, because that was bad, because the criminals, after all, are the victims. And Brandon Johnson seems to think that these people are committing the crimes because they have no jobs. The inner city has been so disinvested in over the, say, last 8 or 10 years that the young people really have no future, so they're going to go out and commit crimes. How can a politician who says they care about their city make a statement like that? So basically, any crime that's committed by a person in the entire country, all the people committing them, they're doing it because they have no job. Because we've all seen it. We saw it during the George Floyd riots. People were rioting, looting. They were looting to survive. So they were stealing, say, $500 Jordan sneakers, $1,000 70-inch TV, because they needed that to survive. That's what these left-wing progressive politicians believe, and they want the people they serve to believe the same nonsense, and it's absolutely not the case. So all I can say is that community activism is great, outreach is great, trying to take care of the young people, trying to take them off the streets and give them something constructive to do, but it's not going to work in a big city like Chicago that's been so crime-riddled for years that this mayor is not going to come in and spend a few $1 million and fix the problem. It's going to take more than community groups. It's going to take more than camps or social activities for the kids. I don't have the answer. I really don't. I wish I did. But the politicians need to wake up, because what they're doing is not the solution. And before I end this episode, I'm going to tell you what Brandon Johnson said after the violent weekend, which, again, 53 were shot, 11 fatally, and 1 was fatally stabbed. He said, and I quote, "Poverty didn't go away over the weekend. We understand that when communities have been disinvested in and traumatized, that you're seeing the manifestation of the trauma, end quote. So again, the criminals are the victims. The victims, oh well, you were in Chicago that weekend, so we're sorry that you got shot or your loved one got killed. But the criminals are traumatized because no one invested in them. No one tried to help them. This is progressive politics at its worst. It's democratic, liberal politics at its worst. And we're seeing it all over the country. And it starts in the White House, and it's flowing down to every liberal democratic city where crime is going up. There's weak on crime prosecutors and DAs, and no one will do anything about it. We're going to invest, but the crime is not going to go away. And again, I don't have a solution. I wish I did. But this policy of 250 grassroots organizations in 24 communities, it's a great idea to try slowly, but you don't put that out there and say, this is the save-all of public safety. It's going to be a failure, and the crime will continue to rise until politicians wake up and do what's needed most. Hire more police. More police on the streets will prevent crime. It won't stop it. It will never stop it, but it will prevent a lot of it. And that's it. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't liked this video, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell. You'll never miss an episode. Share this video with someone. I'd appreciate that. Hope you're all healthy and safe, and I'll see you real soon.